Guys, welcome to another lesson of Endgames you must know from beginner to master, and we continue with the pawn endgames. Go check out the last lesson on pawn endgames, and now we continue with the next one, with the next 5 ending positions, 5 ending examples. Let's take a look at the first one. Rook's pawn and one distant passed pawn. In this case, it's referred to d5 pawn and of course h5 pawn. And who wins? So white play king d4. So the idea here for black, of course, is, let's say white end up taking h6. They want to make sure that the king goes to, let's say, f6 and takes this side-to-side opposition so that they can make a draw. So king d7, king f5, trying to go to h6 pawn, king f7, king f5. Now pawn will be taken, and king is not fast enough to get to this f6. King g7, pawn promotes, and white win the game. Let's get to the next and the game position. The passed pawn is central and near. So in this example, this king has more options and more counterplay against d2 and a6 pawns. So king goes to c1, king goes to d4, king c2, king c4, d3, king goes back to d4. Now king goes to d2, king f4, king c5, king c3, d4, king d5, king d3 taking that position. Now king d6, king c4, king c6, d5, king d6 taking that position, king d7, king c5, king c7, trying to promote, king d5. And right now we blocked the way for this king to go to b7. There is no way to win. d7, king d8. Now the point is king b7, king d7, and that's what I was talking in the previous example. King a7, king c7, we take that position, king a8, king c8, king a7, king c7, and there is no way to improve. It is a draw. Now let's get to ending number 85. The defending side has moved his pawn, the maneuver of triangulation. So in the following case, we see the pawn on a6 and white's pawn on a5, while in the previous example, we saw pawn on a7, black pawn, and pawn on a6, which allowed black to set up stalemate tricks and eventually draw the game. In the following case, it's slightly different. So now king d6 walks into king d8, and white didn't make any progress because c7, king c8, king c6 would be a stalemate. Now king d4. What's the idea? The idea is, so now they're trying to walk around king c4, king c8, taking the long position, because as long as, so if king goes to c7, then king c5, and the game is basically over. Now the point is king d5. Now if king b8 is played, we'll play king d6, king comes back to c8, c7, and white are winning, completely winning. And if king d8, we take the position king d6, and again c7 is happening. So black play king c7, king c5, and now white wins, because no matter where this king goes, we go king b6, we take the pawn on a6, we go king b6 or king b5, and one of a or c pawns will be promoted and white will win the game. Let's get to ending number 87. Knights and rook's pawn against rook's pawn. King g6, and this ending is very important to know, because sometimes you might lose it, you might draw it, but this is definitely an endgame you should know. King f6, king h5, king g7, g3, slowly advancing king h6. And now we start moving pawns. g4, g5, h3, not h4, but h3. h4 now, king g8, h5. And now g6 works perfectly. So the point here, if king g8, g7, and king f7, king h7, white promote the pawn, so takes takes, and now same reason, g7, king goes to f7, king h7, white promote and win this chess game. But definitely a maneuver to remember. h3, let's say h4 was to be played, king h8, and now that position, and now there is no way to win, while h3 first, so king on h6, king on h8, it's not in a position, so h3, and now once that position is taken, h4, it's still calculation based and you gotta remember it, h5, and now white wins. Let's get to the last endgame example of this video. King against two passed pawn. So in the following case, we have h5 g6 pawn against d5 a5, and if we remove this pawn from black, of course this would be a winning endgame for White pieces, black played a4, king c3. We're trying to go to b4 and take this pawn from black. King h6, king b4. This king cannot take on h5 due to g7, g8 queen promotion. d4 takes, the king is in the square, white wins the game. So that's it for today. We analyzed another 5 examples of different pawn endings, and we'll finish analyzing pawn endgames in the next lesson. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know any questions you might have. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.